Hey guys. Hey Brian, how you doing? Doing well, thank you. I appreciate it. Give me just 1 second, buddy. Well, good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock my time. I'm in Arizona. Are you a coffee drinker, my friend? Yeah, it is. It's a bit toasty out there. Um, I think we're getting some relief next week. I think I saw on my app, which is probably lying to me, that we're going to get back into the 90s, which makes me pretty happy. Good evening from France. What time is it in France right now? Huh. Adam Brown, hello, hello. I figured it was a. This week has been a little bit weird, obviously, with Clayton being here all weekend. Um, man, we got a lot done. Holy cow, got a lot done, and been super busy. And so I did that little headphone review yesterday, which is probably like, Ron, why are you doing a headphone review right now? Let's talk about spatial. Either way, thought I'd get on here and do a little live session. We're gonna take our time with this too. I'm not in any kind of a rush. I hope everybody is doing okay. How are you guys dealing with this quarantine? Here in Arizona, I think they're starting to open up shops again and things like that. And that's a little weird. I think we're gonna wait it out a little bit longer just to kind of see what happens. But crazy times, my friends. Oh, Elon is on Joe Rogan. Oh man. I'm competing with Joe Rogan. Go watch his channel. Oh man. It hasn't changed a thing in my existence, Democrat virus. That's funny. Ron, would a tube amplifier be a good match with the triangle Antle high efficiency speaker? Javier, never heard of that speaker, but if it's high efficiency, generally tube amplification works pretty well with that. So chances are yes. All right. So far we already have 30 in the room. I figured I'd wait until around 40 or 50 to start asking some questions, but let me just fire off a couple questions for you guys. Kind of curious who all so far of the 30 people that are engaged, 29, um, who has heard open baffle speakers out of you guys? Who's actually spent time with open baffle speakers and what has your experience been? Kind of curious. Brian. Brian has heard open baffle speakers. Brian, you dig open baffle? What do you think, man? 100% love them. Adam, you haven't heard You haven't heard open baffle speakers, man. Okay. I have Ron Super Minis and they're awesome. My place is too small for open baffle. Yannick, what size room are you working with? Let me know. Magnapan 1.7s, big electrostatics. Got interested in open baffle because of Danny. Yeah, it's good. It's good. The biggest revelation that I had when Clayton was here is just kind of hearing it from his perspective as to why open baffle isn't really taken off. It's kind of been this like slow moving grassroots movement. And it's kind of messing with my brain thinking about how many issues that come with our rooms and how many of those issues that open baffle solves. And it's just interesting to me that more companies, bigger companies, why they aren't giving us options with open baffle. It's interesting to me. I wish they would. I wish they would. It's like Clayton and I were just like talking and reminiscing, like, oh man, I mean, if ELAC came out with an open baffle next month, that would be it. It'd be done. And then everybody would be doing open baffle. It's like we need a big company to just get some attention on it. It'd be interesting. But nevertheless, who do we have out there? We have well, from the do-it-yourself offerings, obviously the leader there is going to be GR Research. Danny, I don't think Danny's going to go back to box speakers anytime soon. I mean, he'll always offer, his little XLS encores and things like that, and that's great. But in terms of innovations and new stuff, I have a feeling that Open Baffle is what Danny's going to be doing from this day forward. And then we have Spatial. We have Clayton that's been doing it for many, many years now, and he's stuck with it. And no, he's not going to go back to box speakers. It's like, no, I'm doing Open Baffle, and that's what I'm going to do. And then we have Pure Audio Project. So we have Pure Audio Project, which is an interesting concept as well. You got Open Baffle modular designs where you can, swap out that center piece for whatever you want to do. If you want to do a horn, if you want to do a wideband driver. So that's a cool concept as well. Who else is out there? I know that Triangle, is it Triangle Art or Triangle Audio Art? I might be getting that wrong. I think they have an open baffle speaker made out of bamboo or something like that. But who else is out there? Not enough. That's the answer. Not enough. We need more. We need more. So let me catch up to what you guys are saying here. David, you just built a pair of your own. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Are electrostatics considered open baffle or only speakers with traditional drivers? Brian, that's a good question. They're considered dipole, so it's a dipole. It it offers the same benefits as an open baffle speaker, an electrostatic, which is dipole. So kissing cousins, let's say that. Hey Russell. Yeah, the video okay, Russell is asking, just saw your videos when you went to visit Danny with your brother. I thought there were some audio samples from Danny's room, but now I can't find the video. Is it out there? Yeah, it should be on my channel. I didn't take him down. Danny's obviously got his own channel now, and I actually need to migrate those 3 videos over to his channel, which I just haven't had a chance to do. Um, but yeah. Yeah, they should be on my channel for sure. Oh, I have a question. Could you curve an open baffle speaker to cut out high frequency reflections? What I think you're referring to is what I think you're referring to is as the front and back waves meet, you're going to have cancellation. So you're asking, can you curve it to avoid that? I think that's what you're asking. I'm not too sure. Um, That would be a question for Danny or Clayton. I don't know. I'm not a designer. I don't pretend to be. I learn along with you guys and try to remain humble. I do know a little bit about that kind of stuff. I think that one thing to consider with that question is what frequencies are you talking about? Because you must understand that the higher your frequencies get, right, as you rise up in your frequency response, the more narrow that beam becomes. And so when we start talking about phase cancellation, wrapping around, becoming omnidirectional, essentially, it's less of a problem with higher frequencies as it is with lower frequencies, which at a certain point do become omnidirectional. So hopefully that helps. That's as much as I'm going to dive into that question before I sound like a fool. A guy on Audio Circle building the in extremes, testing for in room response now. Interesting thread. Hey, Jeremy, I know exactly which one you're talking about, and it is an interesting thread. I've been following along too. I am looking into making speakers based on those plans for the Eminence Alpha 15A woofers and Fostex 3-inch full range drivers. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that, man. Good job, Kevin. I need to order drivers from Danny to finish my mods. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm interested, Adam is asking, I'm interested in a comparison of Maggie's and the open baffle woofer speakers. Granted, power required is way different. And that's actually a really good point, Adam. Um, with a lot of the open baffle designs that I've been checking out, you don't need a ton of power. And with Maggie's, man, it's such a strange animal. It seems like you know what a Maggie is? It's like this never-ending tap. It's like you just keep giving it power and then it continues to reward you. It's like there is no end in sight. You give it a gazillion watts and it's like, "Well, thank you. Here's some good music." It's wild how much power they can take and yet they just continue to reward you with resolution and yeah, they're nice, man. I mean, I like the Maggie sound. I definitely prefer the dynamics that you can get out of a lot of the open baffle stuff that I've been checking out, where you have air moving. Air is a big thing, and like with these M3 Sapphires, 15-inch woofers. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you want air? We can do that. We can do that all day. Uh, I can't even begin to tell you. I was just like so pleased to hear unbelievable bass out of those speakers. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna crush a lot of audio files real quick, man." Oh, it's just so fast and man, it hits like a truck. Is my voice out of sync with the audio? I hope not. I hope it isn't. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, I think it is a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. Nothing I can do about that. Your video with the Maggie Point 7 is what got me interested. Yeah, those were cool speakers. Edge diffraction. Yeah. Yes, Kevin. Um, yeah, rest in peace. Craftwork founder. I saw that. Rest in peace. Martin Logan's are curved open baffle speakers. That is true. Dipole speakers. That is true. So we got 56 people in here. I want to continue the conversation for those that are just joining us. I'm just kind of curious who all in here has heard open baffle speakers or own open baffle speakers or you're interested in open baffle speakers. As I was telling the guys earlier, it was such an interesting, like, it was kind of a revelation talking to Clayton about, like, from his perspective, the industry perspective as to why open baffle isn't really taking off. And to hear that kind of ruffles my feathers. I was like, Okay, well, I can help. I'll help with that. Let's start talking about Open Baffle more and getting more interest in Open Baffle and maybe put some pressure on the industry to say, hey, we want Open Baffle. So let's do it. And I'm just curious if what I've heard in Open Baffle designs is similar to what you guys are hearing, where as soon as you hear it, you're like, wow, why aren't we innovating this type of a product? I'm wondering if you guys feel the same way that I do, and it's okay if you don't. There's nothing wrong with that. Just kind of curious what your thoughts are. Let's just have a conversation about Open Baffle. Have you listened to the Cornwall 4s? I'm looking at these versus M3s. I've never heard M3 Open Baffle. Any comparisons you can offer? I haven't heard the Cornwall 4s. Um, at least not in house. Not like, hey, I'm going to spend some time with these speakers. I'm going to be frank with you. I would be shocked if they can do half the stuff that those sapphires are. It's like I'm being okay. Let me calm down, settle down. I would be shocked if they can do half the stuff that I'm hearing out there in the listening room. That's the truth. I'd be shocked if they can do even 50% of what I'm hearing with these in terms of layering, depth, width, resolution. Clayton has a mid-range tweeter custom built by Peerless playing from 575 hertz up to 40,000 hertz. Let that sink in for a minute. Let that sink in. So, no crossover, no potential problems with any kind of phase issues at the crossover point up high where you normally would have that. No possible problems. It's just clean all the way up. And when you hear that, that will jack you up real quick. All right, let's just see here. CSS audio is getting some good exposure, and that's great. The CSS audio guys, they're fantastic. I really enjoyed their speaker that they sent over to me, and was a Crichton 2. Um, I was wondering if you have looked at them and how they might compare to GR Research. Their kits appear to be high end. They are high end. They're nice. How do they compare with GR Research? I don't know because I haven't done like a side by side comparison. That Crichton 2, the one that I reviewed, you can get it in kit form, but then you have it fully assembled, and it's a nice loudspeaker. If we were to try to compare that to some of Danny's offerings, I don't think that it's nearly as detailed on top. As I mentioned in my review, I felt like it kind of had a soft top end. And so Danny's more interested in drawing a straight line, giving you the truth, whether you like it or not, take it or leave it. That's what Danny does in the music or in his designs, excuse me. So as you're playing your music, typically what is being fed to the speaker is what is being spit out. And sometimes that's amazing, sometimes that's not. It just depends on the recording. Whereas some of the companies out there will try to, soften the top end. And I don't know if this was intentional by CSS Audio. I really don't. But listening to those, I felt like they were just like a nice sounding speaker, not as warm as a Harbeth, not like, oh, hey, let's drink some warm milk and go to sleep. Nothing like that. But yeah, not the same level of resolution, especially upper mid range and beyond, is what you're going to find with the GR research offerings, in my opinion. In my opinion. The comparison I wonder about is realism, imaging, detail, texture, tone, attack, decay. How different are they? Adam, you just got to hear it, bro. I mean, I don't know how else to say it because once you hear it, then every question that you just asked is answered in an instant. That when you hear how quick Open Baffle plays and oh, especially in the bass. I mean, that's the blood in the water, right? Is that when you remove the room to a certain extent. Remove the room from the equation, and you're just hearing the bass, the actual bass from the track, and it's there and then it's gone. You begin to understand how much the room is actually coloring the bass to the point where you're not getting near the amount of resolution or detail that is in the bass to begin with. It's just lost. And don't get me wrong, I like going to the movie theaters for that big boom cinematic experience. And when I'm watching movies, I like that room effect. It's an effect, and that's the key word here. But when I'm listening to music and I'm trying to critically listen, I don't necessarily want there to be an effect in there added to what it is that I'm hearing. I just want to hear what they did in the recording. And Open Baffle, when designed well, it does that. And it does it better than anything that I've heard so far. I had the Jamo or Jamo. Yamo? I'm not sure. I think it's Yamo 909s about 10 years ago. They were Open Baffle, but the tweeters sucked. At New Record Day, are there any Open Baffle speakers that would work in a small room? Let's talk about that because here's the thing you need to understand. Open Baffle inherently works great in small rooms. This is the conundrum. This is where people's you just got to wrap your head around this fact. It's a fact. A dipole speaker, an open baffle speaker, belongs in a small room. It really does. It actually lends itself to being able to do much better in a small room than a box speaker can. The problem is that you must be able to at least get enough air behind that speaker for it to start working its magic. So Clayton and I discussed this, and he brought up a lot of good points with open baffle. Is when we start talking about you need at least 3 feet. Keep in mind, like in the example of the sapphires, the baffle is like 3 inches, and so we're talking about 3 feet from the wall to the front of the baffle. And so you start thinking about a speaker that can play 30 hertz in my room, actually a little bit lower. We'll get to that in the review, but 30 hertz all the way up to 40,000 hertz. You tell me any floor stander out there that can do that, that's going to be that's going to be like a small speaker. It's going to be a big speaker. It has to be a big speaker. So from the front of that speaker back to the wall, it's gonna take up as much room as the sapphires would. Let's get real about it. Like, what are you gonna do? Slam that back up against the wall? It doesn't make any sense. And so, if you can get a minimum of 3 feet, and Clayton actually said that he's had some rooms where they've gone all the way down to 2 feet and it worked. That makes me a little bit uncomfortable to celebrate, but I wasn't there. I don't know what rooms those were or what circumstances those were. Clayton is an honest guy, and I believe him when he says it can work in situations. But if you can get 3 feet from that front baffle to the wall, you can make it work. I'm going to fall way behind on a lot of these comments and questions. I'm going to take my time with this. One of the things that it's like I put myself in your shoes. It's like I don't want to just blast through comments and questions. I'll get to them, and if I don't get to them all, I apologize, but I want to make sure that we have a meaningful conversation. Magnapan LRS would work in a small room. That is true. Kevin, you are correct. That is true. The thing that worries me about Open Baffle as it amplifies the room dependency as reflected sound amplifies and cancels tones throughout the spectrum. Joe, I'm not really sure what you mean. If you want to unpack that a little bit more, I'll circle back around to you. I'm wondering if you're talking about the 90-degree cancellation, which is actually a good thing. That's we want that to happen. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to, but Lengthwise, think of it like a figure eight, kind of like what Clayton drew in his little diagram. If you saw that video, think of it as a figure eight. So, yes, forward and backwards is something you have to take into consideration. And that's where you're going to have issues like room modes and things like that. But you still have 90-degree off axis cancellation with Open Baffle, which is that's great. That's a good thing. I can't wait to experience Open Baffle. Lots of talk about bass. How about the mid range and top end? Is it great? Justin, it depends on the design. Um, with anything Open Baffle that I've heard from GR Research, which is do it yourself, right? So if you're into do it yourself, Danny is a wizard when it comes to mid range and top end extension. I'll vouch for any of his designs, and I think I've heard them all now. Pretty much all of them, and they're fantastic. When it comes to spatial, the M3 Sapphires and the original M3, which I've also heard, these M3 Sapphires top end extension and mid range is quite frankly to die for. It's like I mentioned earlier in the show, he's got a mid range tweeter custom built that is playing from 575 hertz all the way up to 40,000 hertz. So there is no crossover point to worry about Clayton screwing up at any point. It doesn't exist. And so now you have just perfect a perfect coherent band from freaking 600 hertz all the way up, and when you hear that, oh, have mercy. Damn, honey, your cam quality is why I love it. Vinyl Guru. Hey, I've been meaning to give you a shout out. If you guys don't know Vinyl Guru, she does a great job. Subscribe to her channel. Don't be a bozo. She talks music. Who how dare you talk about music? We're audiophiles. Let me just see here. My Dr. Frankenstein idea is a bi-amped system with Maggie's on Crown XLS 2502. It's GR Research. Open Baffle 312 subs on H600 XLR amps. I'm just a dreamer, a poor dreamer. Adam, I would hang out with you with that rig any day of the week. For sure, man. That would be crazy. Have you listened to any Rega? I think it's Rega. My folks across the pond, let me know if I'm saying that right. Rega products. If so, what do you think? Yes, I've heard their turntables and they're fantastic. I would be thrilled to own a Rega deck and call it a day. They're great stuff. All right, folks, up to 83 in here. I want to talk Open Baffle. I hate to repeat myself again, but for those that are joining us, just let me know in your comments. Have you heard Open Baffle? What has been your experience with Open Baffle? Um, that's what we're talking about today, and anything else. You guys want to fire questions away? I'm not. I'll answer all your questions. I'll avoid all your questions. All right. So there seems to be a lot of interest on the forums in Danny's ecstatics after his recent video. Have you heard the ecstatics and can you comment? Jeremy, I have not. Um that is a speaker that I have always wanted to check out. I mean, that kit is what, like 400 bucks for the kit. Um I'm curious how hard it is to build those. I know that it does have that slant in the back, so getting that angle right. That would be a fun project, right? I mean, that would be a cool I would imagine that when you're done with those, totally built out, wood, time, all invested, I mean, that's gotta be a bargain. I haven't heard them. It's one of Danny's designs. Danny and I have talked about it on the phone, and Danny's like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, man, these are really good." Hey, everybody. Um, yeah, I mean, he really likes that kit. In fact, I think it's his favorite kit up until you get into the big boys, I mean, he really likes the Ecstatics a lot, and a lot of people do as well, so. Any news on the Neo 10 replacement for GR Research speakers? No. I talk to Danny often, and I haven't heard anything from Danny about how that's going, so I don't know. Um, Lee Audio, Lii Audio. They have several and offer various sizes. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Have you heard cardioid speakers such as a Key 3 or Dutch and Dutch 8C? They also remove room reflections. Can you compare it to Open Baffle? Daniel, I've heard the Key 3 and it's great. I think that's one of Bruno's designs, right? Brilliant dude. That speaker, it's a good sounding speaker, but my goodness, 15K? I think if correct me if I'm wrong, 15,000 bucks. These sapphires are 5K. No electronic whiz bang stuff, and it it does everything you just mentioned just by the design. So look, I'm being silly. I haven't heard the Key 3s in house, and they might break my brain in a lot of different ways, but 15K. You got to pony up there. I mean, that's a lot of moolah. Oh man, you guys are getting way ahead of me. Bear with me here, folks. I'm doing the best I can. All right, let's see here. Okay, so Joe is actually explaining his question from earlier, and I'm glad that I saw this. I didn't want to miss it. If a sound reflects off the wall behind the speaker and arrives back to the front of the baffle in phase or out of phase, won't this fluctuate the frequency response curve? All right, Danny and Clayton, I'm going to do the best I can. I think it depends on the frequency you're talking about. If the frequency is high enough, then I would imagine that might be of concern. I think a lot of open baffle designs benefit from having diffusion in the back, right on the front wall, like I do, right behind the speaker to help with that. But if we're talking about lower frequencies, it's no longer directional like you would think, like it's going like this and then it's coming back this way. I don't think that's necessarily how it works. And the wavelengths are so long that the propagation is more about sound pressure, right? It's not the same as like a laser beam. I hope I just sounded kind of smart. Like, no, Ron, stop. Drink your coffee. Stop talking. I think that's it. If Joe, or I mean, if Clayton, excuse me, if Clayton or Danny sees this video, I'll have them answer that question on this. So you get the official answer from guys that are way smarter than I am. Riga, it's pronounced Riga. I thought that's how like us Americans say it. I was like, oh, for sure, it's got to be Rega. But no, it's Riga. Okay, Riga. ABC actually brings up a good point. That happens with box speakers as well. And keep in mind, understand this, that if we're talking about the bass frequencies, they're also slapping up against the sidewalls, creating a mess there. So it's a bigger mess. And if you haven't watched Clayton's breakdown, where he kind of breaks this down and explains it on paper, that will melt your mind real fast. You'll be like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go and use my box speakers as firewood, and then I'm going to buy me some open baffle speakers. Accumulated many speakers over the years. Open Baffle changed everything. That's all I want to listen to. David, welcome aboard. That is that is it. That's it. It's like why is this industry ignoring such a big problem? They can clearly see there is a solution to the problem. Let's go. Come on, industry. let's let's advance. Let's move things forward. Let's do it. Hey, El Jefe. Guys, go subscribe to El Jefe. Subscribe twice. Don't click the button twice because then you'll just subscribe and unsubscribe. El Jefe, good to see you, my friend. He does headphones. Ugh. Who likes headphones? I just did a headphone review yesterday. You guys are probably like, Ron, we're going from spatial to some Bluetooth headphones. Good idea. Someone needs to do a video explaining how to read frequency graphs. That's a good idea, Brian. You know what I could do is I could actually do a video with Clayton and Danny. Clayton and or Danny. Maybe both at this. How crazy of a video would that be? Get Clayton and Danny. We got Danny on the do it yourself side of things. We got Clayton on the production side of things. Guaranteed fun. No doubt about it. We should do that. One thing I hate about this, and I wish you guys could see this, but so I have the chat over to the side, and as I start scrolling down slowly, it always jumps. It's like, and I got to go back and I got to slow it down. So these pauses is me trying to do that and get this right. So I'm not missing anything. Kevin says, Kevin Rusa? Kevin Rusa. Kevin, you're always on here, man. I appreciate that about you. It's really cool. That's the only thing you have to worry about with Open Baffle. Front to back room modes are much easier to fix than side or top to bottom. That is true. Listen to Kevin. Don't listen to me. Can a room be set up to achieve active noise reduction and are similar to that of an aviation headset? I use Gentex. Oh my goodness sakes. Kevin, not your guy. I have no idea. That's for somebody with an IQ higher than 3. I don't I have no idea, my friend. Would upgrading from Chromecast Audio Digital out as a streamer make a difference? I have ELAC B6.2 and Outlaw Audio 2160 amp in a listening room, no room treatment apart from thick carpet. Um, I don't know. I haven't heard the Chromecast audio. I have no idea what it sounds like. I have talked to a lot of folks that have used them and got away from them and they didn't look. This is what they told me. So this is not my personal experience was I didn't realize how crappy it was until I ditched it. I didn't realize how bad it actually was until I ditched it. So, I don't know. I don't know. Do you know any open baffle manufacturers from Europe? Would like to try them, but shipping cost from us is very expensive. Cheers from Croatia. Pure Audio Project. I th- I think I think they do some stuff in Europe, and I think there is a spatial Europe. Spatial Germany, Spatial Europe. You'll have to do some Googling. Search Spatial Europe or Spatial Germany and search Pure Audio Project Europe or Germany. Shoot them a message on Facebook or shoot them a message on their website and see what you get. Let's just see here. Appreciate the love, Ron. Always, dude. You're a good guy. I want them broken down and explained, please. Brian, I'll make it happen. You have my word. I will end this. I will end this now. See you guys later. No, I won't. I will call Danny today and say, Brian has asked you to explain how the heck do you read a graph? And yeah, Brian, if you're not subscribing to GR's channel, he does a lot of technical stuff. He's got a lot of technical breakdowns on there. So be a good idea to subscribe and give Danny some love. What is the best shape for open baffle subs? Flat, H frame, or W frame? I don't know. I don't know. Um, I dig my H frame open baffle subs for sure. And then I dig the base on the sapphires. I don't know which is best. I mean, the H frame, it does have a cavity of sorts, right? So could we argue that that cavity is doing something to color the sound? Do I dare say that? I don't know. I'm working on that. I'm working through that. Now that I have some spatials in the house that is just a flat board with good old American 15 slapped on there, it's like, okay, let's pick a fight. Let's see what we can do here. And I'm working through that. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know because gosh, both sound really good for sure. Which is better? They're both awesome. No hard feelings, but I did not watch the headphone review. Still tug your channel, Nick. I didn't watch my headphone review either, so that that makes two of us. Oh man. Oh how? Look at that! I made it to the bottom. That's crazy. Huh? Okay. I'm gonna try to keep up with you guys. Um, I have some mods I need to do my due to my retail XLS. I've been waiting for your review of the ones you have. That's these guys. These guys right here. Those are custom built. They're made by a guy by the name of Mike Lundy. He's a guy that does custom built stuff. He takes his time and this is what you end up with. Now, keep in mind, these are supercharged. These have crazy parts on the inside. And when I talk to Mike, he's going to sell this particular pair for I think 1750 somewhere around there. Figured maple, MDF shell, some of the best parts that money can buy on the inside. And he was saying that he can do custom orders. It's just not, crank them out all the time. And those are great sounding speakers. There's no doubt about that. They're incredible. Um, Freddie Boom's channel, 1985. I would really like some bookshelf open baffles. Really interested in those super minis. I'm so obsessed with open baffle, and that is something that I've been craving, for years. And I don't know what the limitations are, or what the challenges are. I think that's a better word. What are the challenges in an open baffle, bookshelf? What are you going to run into? And I have a feeling that base is going to be a challenge, a big challenge. I think they're going to drop off really early and then you've got to get a sub to reach them. And I think that's probably one of the bigger challenges, but maybe I'll do a follow up with Danny and or Clayton and talk about that. Like what are the challenges and why don't we see more Because then we might be able to get a lot of you guys who are like, "Hey, my room is just way too small. Give me like a little bookie or something like that that I can work with." That would be, oh, oh, okay, okay. I'll work on that. Any experience with high-end active speakers, pros and cons versus passive? No. Short answer, no. I haven't had a lot of experience with active stuff. When it's done well, like that Key 3 speaker that, the guys were talking about earlier, um, Bruno is a genius. I mean, he knows how to do it and how to do it right, but it's important to understand that, like, DSP room correction software, it's not a silver bullet. It can fix some things, but it can't fix everything. As an example, if you have a null in the room, a big drop, a big suck out, no amount of DSP or room correction is going to bring that up without consequences, distortion, etc., etc. It just won't happen. It can't. And so there's always going to be some consequences. That's not to say that if you have like a peak, they can bring that down. And depending on how big that peak is, they might be able to smooth some things out. That's my thoughts on the topic, on the idea of let's put room correction in a speaker. I have a better idea. Open baffle speakers. Built-in room correction, and you don't need to plug them in, to the wall, like run electronics in there. You don't have to do that. All right. What do we got next? Hello, Ron. Front wall placement, 3 to 4 feet. But what of side wall placement? If I can hit 4 feet to the front wall, what would be the minimum ideal to the sides? You're going to be able to play around with that. One of the things that was interesting with the sapphires that Clayton brought over is uh, this isn't going to be in every situation, right? And I'm speaking for Clayton, so I need to be careful. But he was saying bring them out a little bit wider than you normally would. So they're going to be closer to the walls on the sides and tow them in. And he said, I think he said something to the effect of you're just going to get a little bit more of an immersive sound if you do that. And you must understand that with the 90-degree side cancellation, having them closer to the side walls is really not nearly as big of a deal as if we're talking about a traditional box speaker. So you don't need to have them far away from the side walls. That's not like part of the whole deal. Like you have to have a minimum of 3 feet from the back and 3 feet. No, no, no. You can bring them. We have ours surprisingly close to the side walls when we first set those up, and I've been Clayton. Don't kill me. I've been moving them around a little bit. Just trying some things. Just like, yeah, okay, all right. I see what you did, Clayton. I'm watching you. Actually, I put him right back to where he had him because they were great. What's hilarious is that when he came over and he set those up, we like plopped him down and plugged him into the NADM 10. We're like, man, that sounds good, right? He's like, yeah, cool. We're done. It was hilarious. We're like, here I was thinking like this is gonna be like 9 hours of 1 inch forward and 1 inch back and to the side. No, we just boom, rock and roll. It was really cool. Are higher end grottos comfortable? I have no idea. These are the SR80s, SR80Es. I've had them for decade, yeah, a decade now, to like 10 years, somewhere around there, and they're all I need. Ron and Danny's subs, he lines them with no res, right? Yes, he does. That must be there for a reason. Danny doesn't play around. No, he does not. He does not, and that is there for a reason. So yes, and that is definitely doing something for sure. Absolutely. Linkwit's open baffle stuff is being made in Europe, or is it not considered open baffle? No, it certainly is considered open baffle. I think it's open baffle and active at the same time. There's like different DSP stuff and amplifiers. I don't know a lot about it. Can't really jump into that. I don't know. I haven't done my homework, but I think that's correct. If I want to stream music from my phone to a streamer from Spotify and YouTube to my setup with Hegel DAC, Hegel preamp, Hegel amp, JBL L100 Century speakers, the DAC has USB optical coax in. Any idea? I think what you need is a streamer. So you need a streamer that is then going to connect to your DAC. I think I got that right. You need a streamer. Check out Blue Sound. Blue Sound has some really nice streamers, and you can plug it right into the back of your DAC, and you're ready to rock and roll. Hi from Argentina. Hello, hello. What about Linkwit's LX Mini? Yeah, cool little speaker. If I'm thinking of the right one, cool little speaker. Nothing wrong with those. I haven't heard them. I haven't spent time with them, so I don't know. Ryan asks, will rear room H frame subs run out of phase with the fronts? Ryan, help me out here, bro. Will rear room H frame subs ran out of phase with the fronts work? I have Danny's dual H frame subs now, and I would like two more. Are you asking, can you blend the four subs together? You have 90-degree off axis cancellation. And so you have to take that into consideration that all four of those subs need to be facing you one way or the other. I almost feel like you would have better luck stacking them, going up, move up with them. If you can figure out a way to stack them, I could see that working. Ask Danny. Shoot Danny an email, info@GR Research. Coming back to the Yamo 909, the speaker was so much better built and more beautiful than the new open baffles. It's a shame. Spatial looks and feels cheap in comparison. They should get inspired. I'll have to see what that speaker looks like. Having seen firsthand the evolution of spatial, having the original M3s, and then now seeing what these sapphires look like, I got to disagree with you. They don't look and feel cheap in person at all. The fact that he has everything so darn clean, and I'll get you guys all the B-roll footage that I can of those. This will be a review that I spent a lot of time working on. I love how clean it is. I mean, you have Doolin wiring going throughout the baffle that is actually tucked inside the baffle. You don't even see it. Goes all the way down to the bottom, and then it connects with this speak-on connector. Whoa, Ron, easy there, muscles. Speak-on connector that locks into the crossover box, and it's just all encased in just beautiful. It's gorgeous. I gotta disagree with you. I don't think they look cheap at all. I think that it's a very, I guess you could say like modern or minimalist type look. It doesn't have a whole lot of fancy crap hanging off of it. That's true, but I like the simplicity of the design. I think it looks gorgeous. I noticed a feature in Rune where you can put a filter into the player. Has anyone played with this? Brian, I have not. Been wanting to do it yourself some open baffles for years. Ron, do you like all your music more through open baffles, or is there a specific type like jazz that seems to be better than others? I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been thinking about that a lot because with a box speaker where you have room coloration added to, the signal, right? And that's just the way things go. That is the elephant in the room is you're not hearing just a speaker, you're hearing the speaker plus the room. And when it comes to like things like bass, it's picking up some room boom, some boom. That can be cool. It's an effect that can be cool. So depending on your preference and what you want, what you're going for, if you want your music to sound like a movie theater experience, then it can be cool. And I mean that genuinely. I'm not even being like facetious or sarcastic. I like that effect. But when you hear Open Baffle and you hear how low music can hit on its own without the additional boom from the room, and you hear how quick it can be, just like stops on a dime, man, it is intoxicating. And then it's really hard to go back to the effect. And so, are there times where I might like it more? I think it could just come down to, do I want to hear some effects in the music? Especially if we're talking about bass, you know? Past that, you're gonna get into driver selection, you're gonna get into texture and tone and mid-range and tweeters, and there's some box speakers that feature amazing drivers that sound really nice, and I can't really poo-poo those, in terms of texture and tone, so, you know, pick your poison, but it's all bad. Hello, Ron. Is it possible to have a big sweet spot that is enough for 2 people? Mikey? Yep, I'm gonna say it. No. Nope. I have never ever heard a system where I can sit to the side and be happy. Never. Doesn't matter. I have heard systems that are a quarter million dollars. I've heard systems that are $500,000, and I've heard some systems that are $1 million. And guess what? They still don't do that. So, nope. One sweet spot. Move over. It's mine. I'm taking it. It's my sweet spot. Get out of there. Do you know if Danny's dual subs could be built in an enclosure like the Spatial Audio M3 you reviewed a while ago? Totally love that design. Email Danny and talk to him about that. That's an interesting idea. I don't know what challenges you're going to be dealing with if you don't follow Danny's principles, his design. I don't know what the consequences would be. That's a great question. And you would want to ask Danny. I think that you could do it. And yes, it would work. I think it could. What you might run into with Danny is, yeah, I think the H frames are the way to go. And that's going to be him weighing in as a designer and his opinion. And that's fine. But that's not to say that that wouldn't work. I think it could absolutely work. So reach out to Danny, see what he thinks. Can you use Open Baffle for movies? I have limited space and a wife. I have a wife, 3 kids, and we've got Open Baffle out there, and it works. One of the things you need to understand about Open Baffle, especially like with the spatials, which don't have a wing on the side like Danny's designs, this is one advantage that the spatials have is you can just kind of move them on over up against the wall and they like get out of the way, totally out of the way. So I like that in terms of their design is they're just really clean and you can just bear hug it, pick it up and move it up against the wall and then pull it back out when you're done. Um yeah, you can make it work. You can make it work. You should because open baffle rules. This turned into an OB cult real quick. I guess there is no point in reviewing anything else. You know what? I can laugh about that, but it's something I have to be careful with. I got to be careful with that because I want to be able to celebrate everything and I don't want to draw clear lines in the sand. And this is one reason why I've been very careful about what I celebrate with do it yourself. It's like, yeah, do it yourself is great if you can build it. If you can't build it and I keep celebrating it and you build it and it doesn't turn out the way that you want and then you hate it, that doesn't do anybody any good. So that's one reason why I've never like announced like, yeah, the NX Audicas, they are my reference. Well, of the do it yourself offerings, yeah, sure, we can say that, but there's still other speakers that pick fights with them and do amazing things that aren't do it yourself. And along the same lines with what you're saying is I need to be careful because manufacturers watch these videos. And if I'm only talking about Open Baffle as the best thing out there, who do we have? I mean, I'm going to only review stuff from Danny, from Clayton, from Pure Audio Project. It's like, what I'm hoping to do in these kinds of videos where we start talking about Open Baffle is let's get some positive attention on the idea. Let's start having the manufacturers see a lot of what you guys are saying when you're saying Open Baffle rules. Guys, big companies, get on board. Throw your hat in the ring. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Make an Open Baffle speaker. Because then, if you think about it, then everybody wins. This is a win 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 situation. We all win because we get more offerings from different companies, and the manufacturers win because they're selling more products. Wow. I don't see a drawback in this. I really don't. Take it easy, Kevin. Thank you, man. I just watched your review of the Harbeth. I think you mean the. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. What is the Harbeth that I reviewed? The P3 ESRs. It's got to be the P3 ESRs. You place them on top of Open Baffle subs. How did that compare to the M3s? It didn't compare. Nope. Nope. Not even close. Those. I'm going to get myself in some trouble real quick. The P3 ESRs are. I don't even give a rat's rear end. Whatever. Grow up. They're a one trick pony. They really are. At the end of the day, the reason why so many audiophiles celebrate the P3 ESRs or any of those type of offerings is they do one thing really well, and it's the human voice. They do that and they do it really well. But what you can't say about them is they offer top end resolution like the best of them out there because factually they can't because they drop off early. Ski slope. Ski slope down into warmth. Those sapphires, they play up to 40 kilohertz. No joke. Like, there is no, not even close. Nice if you want to sip warm milk at night and listen to jazz or small ensembles or little acoustics and simple arrangements. That P3 ESR in the Open Baffle subs, it was cool and I dug it. I still could celebrate that rig all day long. Doesn't compare to the sapphires. Not even close. Bias must be taken into consideration for fewer reviews. Why is it that Wrong looks so bored on every single review that he does except for Open Baffles? Like, hey guys, we got another box speaker here and plays music. Box speaker. Subscribe. Oh man, that's funny. As we learned in the presentation yesterday, drivers must be specifically designed to work with Open Baffle. Yes, that is true. High QTS is one of the main things. I doubt that Danny's sub drivers are designed for that purpose. That's not true, Bob. They are designed from the ground up by Danny for that purpose. So, wrongo, with all due respect. They are designed for that purpose. They're designed for Open Baffle. Hi, Ron. What would be better for 4 ohm hard to drive speakers? 400 watts Class AB or 50 watts Class A amplifier? Let's say the brand is okay. Forget watts. Forget watts. It's about current, right? Current. You need balls on that amplifier. So, what you're looking for is a high current amplifier. What would be better? I don't know. My guess is as good as mine, but wattage doesn't matter so much as current does. You have to think along those terms. So, um, OB experiments are inexpensive and easy to do. A quality full range driver and some 3/4 inch plywood, and you're done. Eh, okay. I have no idea what you've put together, and I have no idea how it sounds. You might be right. You might be wrong. I don't know. It's not always that simple because crossover points, things like that matter. Top end resolution, working with problems as you get higher and higher can be problematic. Figuring out ways of figuring out how to make it work at the crossover point matters. It's not as simple as just slapping some drivers on wood. Um, the crossover matters a lot. Cool, interesting stuff. I look interesting stuff. I like, I think you meant I like the look of those little things. Maybe they fit some situations. I agree, Danny. I was wondering if music is mix and master with box speakers, is the intent of the studio mix master are kept with open baffle? Sure. Yes, of course it is. And that is true. But having a background in some studio work, I actually went to school for studio engineering. There's one thing that we need to understand is those rooms are acoustically treated to the point where they are getting within within a couple dB of accuracy out of those speakers. So, do you have that? Because if not, you're going to run into problems. So, it's important to understand that Open Baffle addresses so many of those issues and problems in everyday houses. So, do you have a crazy custom built listening room that deals with a lot of the problems? No, no, we don't. So, again, and yes, it does preserve the integrity of the music if it's designed well. There's some open baffle designs out there that I'm sure, well, they don't know what the heck they're doing and they're using the wrong drivers or they're not great with crossovers. And you might end up with a mess on your hands. But if it's designed well, then yes, the integrity is in check. I've had a Kustat 2 plus 2 modified model for Apogee Stage, Apogee Duetta, and now using Martin Logan Request. I had more bass with the Apogee than any speaker in my room. Bass panel. That's really cool. That's awesome. I've never heard those, so I don't know, but that's awesome. Thanks for sharing your experience. Humans can't hear past 20 kilohertz anyway, though, right? Jeremy, I can hear. I can hear all. No. Yes, we can't. I've tested a sweep on my Tectons, and I'm in the mid 30s, and I'm in the mid 30s group and can't hear much over 15 kilohertz, which, as I understand, it is average for my age. That is true. That is correct. But I won't be able to sleep at night with a speaker that drops at 15. Even if that's as far as I can hear. I'm an audiophile, so every time I go to sleep, I'm like, why can't my tweeter get why can't it get up past 20? It has to. Maybe my hearing will come back. It'll be a miracle. It's true. Can you but it begs the question, and this would be interesting. It's like I've heard a lot of audiophiles that have speakers that go way out, like into the 30s or the 40s, and they're losing their hearing, right? And when they switch out that speaker for a different speaker, they're like, I'm missing something. I'm missing something. Something has gone up there for sure. Who knows? Do those listening tests of hearing the test tones, is that really telling the entire story? Or is that just one specific tone that you're not hearing up to a certain frequency? Music, hundreds of thousands of frequencies being played at one time, not just one. So you got to think along those lines. Like maybe there's more to it than just a simple hearing test. You got to think about those things. Thanks. How do we find out the current of one amplifier? Well, to find out if it's a high current amplifier, typically what you're going to see is that it doubles down from I have it 8 ohms to 4 ohms. Yeah, 8 ohms to 4 ohms, it doubles down. So at 8 ohms, if it's 200 hertz, at 4 ohms, it would be 400 hertz. That means it is a high current amplifier. I think I have that right. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Get Cornwall fours and see if your bias can be minimized. All right, sure. I can do that. Um, when do you expect your M3 Sapphire review to be up? Well, I do this full time now, guys. So as you know, I'm cranking out videos now. Um, it shouldn't take very long. I am waiting on some other pieces to complete that package. The way this all happened was it was Nicholas Tolson from LTA. Um, it was his idea, his brainchild. He was like, "Man, dude, you like the LTA stuff? We want you to check out the 10, and you love spatial audio. Why wouldn't you do like a complete system review? We'll get you the 10, get you the Sapphires, get you a Lampezator DAC, which I've never heard before, which will be fun." So I'm just waiting on the other pieces. And while I have the Sapphires, you better believe I will be trying them with a lot of different stuff and letting you guys know how do the Sapphires sound with a $400 amplifier, and then start moving up the line and we'll have fun. Could you explain open baffle versus infinite baffle? No. Being honest with you, I can't. I can't explain the difference. Um, which one is better? Danny Ritchie could. I'm sure Clayton Shaw could. Reach out to them and ask them. They'll be able to help you. I don't know, and I don't want to pretend. John, I like you, man. Go ahead, Ron. Burn all those boxes. I mean, bridges. I'm actually tired of seeing bookshelf speaker reviews. They're all basically the same. I'll stay on as a subscriber if you were to focus on front end and electronics reviewed on the same spatials, of course. Yeah, I want to be able to celebrate hi-fi. My heart and my passion, it hasn't changed in the 6, 7 years that I've been doing this. Is I want to bring people into hi-fi, and whether that's through a bookie to get them started or open baffle speakers, the results are always the same. Get into hi-fi. Treat it more than McDonald's. Music is more than background music, you know? So I hear you, man. Hi, I have a Project Carbon with Ortophone 2M Blue pickup. When I crank my volume, I get a slight humming on silent tracks and with the pickup off. Is this normal? What could the problem be? Sounds to me like you're having some kind of a hum issue. And I know a lot of people have experienced that, where as soon as you lift the cart off the record, hum is induced. When the cartridge touches down, it sounds like a grounding problem, doesn't it? You think about it, because then it's making contact. Something is grounding, hum goes away. Does your arm have ground lug, a ground lug that is connected to something? Experiment with that. You guys let me know if you have any other ideas. I think that's probably related to like a grounding issue, is what that sounds like, Frederick. Also, I'm not sure if I missed it, but what challenges are presented to OB speakers compared to regular speakers? Watch Clayton's video. Yeah, it's an hour and a half. Yes, you should watch all of it. I'm not just trying to get the views on it. I swear I'm not. It is presented really well. He makes a case. He literally draws diagrams. It's easy to understand. Clayton is great at breaking down complex ideas in very simple ways to where anybody, even a dummy like me, can go, I get it. Thank you for that doodle. I get it. Thanks, man. So watch that. All right. I'm going to go about another 15 minutes or so, and then we'll jump out of here. Ah, Bob, I got you, bro. Sorry, I was going off information on the servo sub kit one. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Yep. Yeah, that's fine, Bob. Um, Hi, Ron. Hi, Thomas. I was curious if you have heard the Micah RB42s. Your impressions. Keep doing an amazing job. Thomas, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have heard the RB42s at a show, and it was brief. Sounded a little bit, how much are they? $100? Always in context, right? You have to wrap your head around what are we talking about? $100 speakers, they sounded great. Maybe a little tipsy on top. Not the most beautiful top end that I've ever heard in the speaker. Really good bass. Really good bass. Mid range wasn't too bad. Nice little speakers, man. Nice little speakers. Put some high quality cables on those and you'll transform. No, Ron. No, don't do it. Back away. Fritz Becker. Who is Danny? Danny Ritchie. Oh, there's a giant moth in here. Holy cow. Um, Danny Ritchie is a speaker designer, crossover guru. He's been doing it for a long time, more than 20 years now. And he's the owner of GR Research, and he focuses on the do it yourself segment. So if you're into do it yourself or building speakers, he has open baffle kits and things like that. He's been featured on my channel in the past, and now he has his own channel. And I'll leave a link down below. You can check him out. Really nice guy. I gather that ears can only hear to 15K can still hear time delay problems in the 20K domain. See, this is what Anthony, what you're saying, you sound smart. So I'm going to just go with what you just said. What Anthony said. You're here. I think that it's past the fundamental. Like, yeah, you might not be able to hear something that is fundamental at 15K, but there's stuff out there within the time domain that you might be able to pick up. So I would say that's possible. Anthony said so, and he's a scientist. He told me earlier. You guys were, yeah, whatever. Can a full digital amplifier with room acoustic calibration be as good as a traditional one? No. Here I am. I've got the NAD M10 back there, and I love it to death. It's just a great little Clayton saw it. He's like, damn it, Ron. Now I want one of those. It's like so simple. You just plug it in and go, and it has room correction, and they can be cool. They can be really, really cool. B is good. Maybe. There's always going to be a compromise, right? You know, it will do some things perhaps better than more expensive stuff or boutique stuff or tube stuff or class A stuff, but it won't do everything better. And I think this is why audiophiles get so tribal. And you notice that I don't engage in that. Like, it's just like silly. Like, you realize everything that I'm about to say, that you're about to say, is probably right and wrong at the same time. It's just, there's always going to be some kind of a compromise. So let's all relax and break bread at the table, be friends, and listen to music. And just know that we're all probably right and wrong at the same time. Ryan says, Danny's open baffles are the best I've heard. I've had many SVS subs. The H frames are the most detailed. Not as much room boom. If you like that sort of thing, then look elsewhere. I agree with Ryan, especially with his comments about them being detailed. They're paper cone drivers, and they give you texture and tone and resolution in bass that you j- you just don't hear in most, if not all, the subs out there. I would declare them as to being for music the best subwoofers that I've heard in the world. Like they're that I've heard so far, they're kings. Let me just see here. Have you ever tried any IEMs from Periodic Audio? No. No. Next week I get my Oh, cool. Dave, let me know, man. Yeah, I'll be curious. I don't mess around with headphones or IEMs all that much. Ron, you're a liar. You just did a headphone review yesterday. Um, yeah, I haven't heard those, so I don't know. What would you like to see next year? Better DAX, even more affordable, great gear, return of industry trade shows, further proliferation of self-powered speakers, advances in DSP room correction. Brian, what I'd like to see is more open baffle stuff. That's that's what the industry needs is we need a bigger market, a bigger share of offerings with open baffle because I'm now going to try and pioneer this idea to the point where maybe we can get some positive attention on the idea on the many issues that it solves. It solves problems. It's a problem solver. And if I can get in here and get some positive attention on it, then that's what I'm going to do. So before all of that stuff, and all of that stuff sounds great, I would like to see all of that. I'd like to see more attention on open baffle. I've seen many go to great lengths to isolate the turntable from the floor. Oh, brother. Okay. Yeah. Is that against musical vibrations and is it very important? It is critical. Absolutely critical. Isolating the turntable. Oh man, we could do an entire show about that. And I've got I've got the classic rocking again, which is an older table that I have and I freaking love it. And uh nuance. They got these pneumatic feet that it's got air on the inside, a little bike pump. I'm gonna do a review of those, and those work really well. They're pricey, you're gonna pay for them. I think they're around $1,000, so it's like, ugh, how much do I actually care about this? Well, I would ask you, how much are you investing in your turntable, your cartridge, et cetera, et cetera, and do you want to be done with the problem? Outside of that, if you don't want to spend that kind of money, another product that I really enjoy are the EVPs. The EVPs from oh my gosh, Norman's gonna kill me. what what is his website? Oh my goodness sakes, I'm embarrassed. It's AV Room Service. So check out the EVPs, and that's like custom weighted fiberglass little squares. It looks like HVAC pads, and he gets that all the time. Like, oh, you can get those on Amazon for $10. No, you can't. No, you can't. They're custom built for the weight that you need for what is sitting above it. So whatever weight you have on the substrate, your platter, whatever, these EVPs can be ordered from Norman, who does all the calculations and figures out the correct weight. And those are affordable. Those aren't crazy expensive. Clayton's video was top notch. Thank you, Nick. I agree. Clayton is an awesome dude. And yeah, it's great. Ron, what is more important to you, quantity base or quality base? Answer is quality base. Have you seen Youth Man going crazy with those two dual subs? Yeah, Michael. I love Michael to death, man. He's got those. Is it two 18s or is it two? I think it is. Gosh, it's like I'm gonna shake off my wife's clothes tonight with these subs. Come in here, honey. I want to show you something. It's like crazy. He's into that, I mean, he's a home theater guy, so that effect that you're getting, that room pressurizing and explosions and things like that, that's great. But it's an effect. Got to remember that. It's not what your speakers sound like. It's not what your sub sounds like. It's what those speakers in your room sounds like. It's all an effect. So, how do the M3s sound at low listening levels? That's a great question. They sound fantastic. And I've been listening a lot in the evenings at low volumes, trying to get some miles on these things. I think we're around 40 hours in, 40 or 50 hours in. Um, Clayton was saying 100, things start really getting good. So I'm looking forward to that journey. They already sound great. Um, but yeah, low level, lots of resolution, and the bass is popping, even at lower levels. So yeah, for sure. Let's just see here. Oh, Cactus and Kindness. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. She's really hot. That's my wife. That's Sarah's channel. She's the best. Who's your favorite? Who's my favorite? What? Who's my favorite? Honey, you're my favorite. That's right. That's the right. That's the right answer. I'll be making out with that woman later. Ron, can you speak a little bit to driver ring? How to determine it, and if how it applies to open baffle drivers or not. If you're talking about ringing, like a ringing, you might be talking about stored energy in the driver. So, or you might be talking about the frame itself ringing, right? The actual frame of the driver ringing. So, this is why anytime we do like these breakdown videos or show you, the insides of the speakers, if we see like a stamped steel frame, everybody makes the same noise at the same time, which is ugh, because we all know that sucker is gonna ring. I mean, you just strike it and it's like nobody wants to be listening to that. And so um I was pleased to see that with the sapphires, he's got cast aluminum frames, no ringing, little resonance, right? So that's great. But I think that's what you're talking about. It's either going to be stored energy in the driver itself. There's going to be a certain frequency within the time domain where you have frequencies shooting out that you can see in a spectral decay. If I'm getting too technical, stop me, but I guess you can't. So, here what I have to say. In a waterfall plot, you really want to see that as these frequencies are coming out in the waterfall, you want them to be all stacked up nicely like a clean waterfall. If you have a particular frequency, let's say at 2K, that is shooting out, that would be indicative of a driver that has some stored energy in that particular frequency. And that can lead to, the strike of a piano note or something like that really getting pingy and popping out, or vocals pingy popping out. That that's what we're talking about here. Thoughts on Spatial M3 or X5 versus GR and Exotica? Paul, it's the wrong question right off the bat, and I'll tell you why. The right question, if we're going to even try to tackle that question, it would have to be, let me reword it. Thoughts on the Spatial M3 Sapphire or X5 versus the GR and Exotica and H frame open baffle subs. And you're going to build all that. You're going to set all that stuff up. And when I get to the review of the Exoticas, this will be something that people need to understand. They need to understand is it's a system, right? It's not just the Exoticas, because the Exoticas in my room, they drop off at 50 like a rock. Woo! Do you want to be listening to full range speakers or not? Okay, well, if you want to be listening to full range speakers, then you're also doing the H frame subs. And then that comes with, and I don't mean this in a negative way, with the consequence of additional cabling, wiring, and also the direct servo plate amps, which you then need to know how to use. And those are not like volume, bass, treble. There's a lot to learn with those plate amps and getting now the subs positioned in the room where they need to be and the mains positioned in the room where they need to be. There's a lot going on with that system. It's not just the Exoticas versus the spatials. And then we get into I'm never going to like compare do it yourself to speakers that are manufactured. It doesn't make any sense when you think about it. And I want to be able to celebrate those that are into do it yourself for what it is. And I want to be able to celebrate the guys and gals out there that are like, that's not for me. I just want to buy a speaker. Like I can't even put up an IKEA shelf for crying out loud. And here you are talking about, go out and do it yourself. I want to be able to celebrate both for what they are. So hopefully that helps you see it from my point of view is it's not a fight, it's a celebration of either way you go. And one nice thing about the M3s is it's a one and done. I mean, they're dropping I got to do some more measurements, but they're dropping close to the 20s. We're at the tail end of the 30s in room. It is it's a full range speaker. You're you're getting into that lowest of the lows, and it goes all the way up to 40K, and they're minimal. Just set them and be done with it. So I'm getting long winded, but that question is going to come up over and over and over again. And I want to be clear. You won't hear me saying one is better than. You'll hear me saying things like, if this is the direction you want to go, then this is what you're going to get. If you go in that direction, if you want to go in this direction, this is what you're going to get. That's what I'll be doing when I unpack these reviews. Did Clayton give you any additional info on the sub he mentioned in your interview with him? No, no. When he mentioned it to you guys in that interview, that was the first time I heard of it, and I didn't ask him any other questions about it after. And I wish I would have. Now that you're bringing it up, like, yeah, yeah. And here we go. Like, yeah. So already FPS is saying spatial versus GR. Final answer. I just gave you the answer. There is no final answer. It's two different beasts, and I want to celebrate them both. I want both to live on my channel to where, hey, you want to get into do it yourself? Go in Danny's direction. If you don't, there are other options out there, and you should seriously consider them. Any quick general thoughts on comparing the sound of the value? Here we go. Yeah, here we go again. So again, same question. I already answered it. Hopefully that works. OB will always stay in do-it-yourself circle with few exceptions. There's no money to be made by manufacturers on fancy cabinets. Oh, that is hilarious and probably true. Oh man, that's funny. Do you socialize with other reviewers on a regular basis? Tell us about your friendships with them. Do you consider them close friends or competitors? Brian, I don't view anybody on, especially if we're talking about the folks that are doing YouTube reviews, I don't view them as competition at all. Um, I I want more of them because again, I don't view things that way. I view things as, oh, this is going to be rough. Hi-fi isn't dying; it's actually dead. It's the way I see it, and we're trying to resuscitate it. That we're hanging on to it the best that we can, but in my mind, if we take a look at the reality of it, we take a look at the real numbers and we take a look at what's actually happened over the years, man, it sucks. And so, in my mind, let's resuscitate it. Let's let's teach people that hi-fi can be fun again. Let's make it fun again. And so, well, gosh, I mean, on YouTube, there's a big audience. And a lot of you guys that have followed me over the years, Not once have you walked in and bought a hi-fi magazine, but you'll watch videos on YouTube. So I celebrate that. And as far as I'm concerned, anybody out there that is doing this, they're my brothers and sisters in arms. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's work together. Let's figure this out. And so that's something that's really near and dear to my heart. So absolutely friends. Absolutely friends. And I applaud them for pushing and moving forward. And, you know, let's keep doing it. You want easy OB do it yourself, get 15-inch FR driver from Nirvana and showed in 18 by 24-inch baffle, high sensitivity, so too friendly, under 800 bucks. That's great. I'm not familiar with that particular kit, but thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. At Ron, very helpful describing driver ring. Thank you, bud. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, babe, I got you a subscriber. I got Sarah a subscriber. Thank you. Appreciate it. If you like the M3 Sapphire, I'll just assume that you'll have to try out the X5 or X3 at some point. I haven't heard either. I've actually heard, I want to say it was the X3 at one of the shows, and it sounded very good. Different beast, different animal. And I think that in Clayton's video, he kind of walked us through those differences really well. So check out that video if you want to learn more about it. Is you have the X series utilizing a waveguide to skin that cat up higher in those frequencies to say, this is how we're going to solve this problem. This is what we're going to do with this issue. And one of the things that those will be able to do over the sapphires, and Clayton made this point, I'm not speaking for him, is that they're going to be able to play louder. So if you want to really rock out, like you, and trust me, I've had these things freaking loud, very loud. But if you want to blow out your eardrums, if you don't want to be an audiophile in a year from now, then go with the X series. Hey Clayton, I just redid your marketing. If you don't want to be an audiophile in a year, because no, no, Ron. If you want lots of bass, connect two 4 ohm woofers in series, same kind and same specs. It will be 8 ohms. You will have tons of bass. Um, it's not that you're gaining bass, jingle. It's that you're gaining output. So when you do that, you're gaining output of the bass. You're not creating more bass. You're getting more output of the bass when you do that. So, but you're on the right. Yeah. The pediatrician's office called and said you can come with me tomorrow. How excited are you for shots? I hate that pediatrician office. How dare they? How dare they? Cage match. Clayton versus Danny. Who are you putting your money on? I don't know, man. Clayton seems like a scrapper, but Danny seems quick. So yeah, that's gonna be a good fight. But you know what? They probably wouldn't fight. I think that those two are a force to be reckoned with. You know what I would love is I would love a collaboration of those two guys. Now, wouldn't that be something? That would be something. That would be something. Make hi-fi fun again. Indeed. Amen. You had videos involving the Audicas. Have you done a proper review? And if not, do you plan on doing one? Yes, I do. Um, yes. And that will be soonish. Yeah. And I can finally say that, like genuinely soonish. I'm trying. This is my livelihood. I have no safety net. I do this full time, and I don't make a ton of money on YouTube. I can tell you that right now. I think you guys would see the numbers and go, Ron, you loaded up on ramen, bro? You got plenty of macaroni and cheese?" And so, look, and I've tried to relax on the whole, Patreon talk and stuff like that because I know a lot of people get sick and tired of hearing about it, and I get sick and tired of talking about it. So, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to get videos out. And I'm going to place my faith and trust that as I put work into this, that the rewards will come, and I'm not going to worry about that. It's like it's not what it's about. It's not what it's ever been about. So, I'm going to make videos. Jack says, Ron, love your show and your channel. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Can you talk about point of diminishing return related to cost of amps, speakers, and record players? It does exist. I mean, diminishing returns. Oh, you know, boy, that's a topic. I mean, that's like a show in itself. Maybe I'll just need to do a video that talks about that because what I like to do on my channel is I like to find those hidden gems out there. Like, how cool is it that when Ron from New Record Day that has celebrated some gear that is upwards of 40, $50,000 finds a 300 or a 400 or a $500 amp that he loves? Well, that's the kind of stuff that gets me excited these days. Like, hey, this is awesome. I mean, if this is going to get you 80% there or 90% there or 98% there, yeah, do that. And don't forget about the crazy stuff. Like, just enjoy the music. Like, have fun. That, yeah, that IOTA VX. Hey, you guys seen the IOTA VX? That thing has been sitting literally under this bed. This is our bedroom, by the way. When Clayton Shaw saw the studio, is like, all right, so that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing, huh? I was like, yeah, yeah. He's like, I always thought you were like standing. I'm not gonna show you guys this. You guys would be laughing like it's a low table and I'm just sitting on this tiny little bench and hanging out with you guys. Anyways, um, the IOTA VX is one of those integrated amps that gives you so much and it doesn't suffer the flaws as so many amps do around its price point. I think it's 400 euros, if I'm not mistaken. I think around there, 400 or 500 euros. Somebody can correct me here in the comments, but dude, it sounds great. And the top end, that's its magic trick is there's not a lot of amps in that price point that can do what that thing is doing in terms of top end. And what I mean by that is it's got some air and extension without sounding yeah, without sounding that face I just made. Um, sounds really nice, you know? Sounds really nice. And I just recently got the PA3 power amp, so I'm gonna couple those together, and then you got twice the wattage to work with. Yeah. Oh, we got a troll in here. Let me get rid of this guy. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I had to get rid of this Kibble Demerol. I don't know. Whatever. Just trolling. All right. Where are we at? Oh wow, we're overtime. That's okay. Let me just see if I have anything else here that I want to pick out real quick. Make audio fun again. Yeah. Very good. Then can you talk about friendships and how often you do with them? I don't have any reviewers that are like near me, so nothing like that. But when we see each other at like shows and stuff, we give high fives and hang out and eat and yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like meeting yeah, I mean I've met a lot. I'm not gonna get into that. Long winded. Yes. The answer is yes. Hey Ron, do you think that woofers and box speakers have reached the pinnacle of design? And if so, what steps need to be made to improve on the design? I don't know if they've reached the pinnacle of design. What I will say is that no box speaker can fix the problems that they can't solve. That's what I would say is that it doesn't matter how much money you throw at that design, it can't solve the problems that it introduces. It can't. It's not able to do it. A friend of mine and I are arguing, must be an audiophile. If a turntable has a phono pre-built in, what will happen if you run an external phono pre as well? Bad idea. Distortion is what will happen. You're doubling up on the gain at that point. So, nope, not a good idea. Don't want to do that. Um, yeah, not a good idea. Hi, Ron. Doing high end car audio and playing with really great DSPs, I have learned that speakers that perform the 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz and above add a feeling of space and room and depth, and those that don't. Yeah, I've experienced similar things. So we're on the same page. I told him don't do it. He thinks that he can still do it. Well, Brian, you'll be able to tell him I told you so when he blows things up. Ron, Audioholics made 30K by donations. Yeah, I saw that. Holy cow. Yeah. Um through that GoFundMe thing that he did. That was interesting to see that. I live in the UK, so IOTA VX is a good deal for us here at 399 euros direct from the company. Danny, it's a great little integrated amp. Like no hype. They haven't paid me a dime to say anything. All right, right. So this is just my honest opinion, and it's not a perfect amplifier, but it does some things at its price point that is very unusual. You don't typically hear what that thing is doing. So it's good. It's very good. Ron, have you heard of Common Sense Audio? I've heard of Common Sense Audio, but I haven't explored any of their offerings. I think we're slowing down here, guys. So I think we might call it a day. We're almost at 2 hours, which is, I think, the longest show I've done. Um, Ron, love your channel. Keep up the great work. Joshua, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Keep watching my videos and share them with your friends. Ron, do you have any knowledge of Voxative? I have some knowledge of Voxative. They make full range drivers, and point source full range drivers. That's about it. Not a whole lot more than that. Hey, Dan, thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. Got a super chat coming in from Dan Allen. That is really kind of you. Brian wants to know ETA on the XLS review 2 weeks, within 2 weeks. I'll make a promise to you because next week I got to do next week we'll be finishing up the SVS reviews that I had done. I did the ultras. I've talked about that little SVS sound base, which is kind of a cool little class D amplifier for $500. And then I've got the Prime Pinnacles, big towers, right? And so next week we'll do a breakdown and we'll do a review. So those two videos will be out next week, and then I might do a third video smack dab in the middle. Middle. Um, you guys want to see some B-roll of the spatials? Maybe some B-roll, little teaser clip. I might work on that tomorrow. Got a lot of irons in the fire, but we're cooking. We're cooking with fire, and that's what matters. I still hope to see some Genelex go against standard hi-fi that you do, sir. I hey, you know what, Genelex? That's awesome, man. I mean, hey, Michael, thank you so much. Um, yeah, Genelex are interesting. I just haven't spent time with them. So I, doors are open. That's for sure. Brian, you're saying thank you. You're welcome. I'm curious what's in them versus Danny's modded versions. Yeah. So when we get to those, I got permission from Mike to take those. Well, take them as apart as I can. Now he did warn me. It's all soldered. It's real tight in there, so I'm not going to unsolder things for crying out loud. I mean, it's his pair. I can't do that to him. But I'll show you what's on the inside. And I think he sent me a bunch of pictures showing the insides as well. So your your patience will be rewarded. We'll make sure that happens. I still say Danny and Clayton should tag team versus all speaker box makers for the New World Championship hi-fi title or hi-fi title. I agree. And if we're talking open baffle versus box speakers, there's going to be a winner. I can tell you that. Big shout out to Danny at GR Research. Great guy, super helpful, and his products are the bomb. Jerry, I agree with you. Danny is a wonderful dude, a great guy, super smart designer, knows his stuff, and for the do-it-yourself market, it's a good way to go for sure. Like no doubt about it. Like you're gonna be blown away by some of the deals that are to be had if do-it-yourself is your thing. Audioholics always debunks cables, but Gene uses high-end ones. Just a thought. Yeah, it's interesting. I've talked to Gene. I've been getting to know Gene, and you always have this idea of who, what those conversations are like. Here's me, little old Ron, that I've talked about. Yeah, cables make a difference, and dance that dance. And then we have Gene's like, yeah, but it's not that simple. What Gene is old. Here's Gene's deal. Yes, cables can make a difference. Absolutely. And he can celebrate cables that can make a difference. What he has a hard time with is when manufacturers are making claims, scientific claims, throwing around words and stuff that they don't really understand, like they don't have their footing on what it is that they're actually saying about what their cable does. That's where he has an issue. And what do I know? Like I'm not going to argue with that because I'm not an engineer and I don't have that kind of knowledge. What I can celebrate is the idea of if you're a manufacturer and you just make a cable that you think is amazing, then just say that. Like, why? Do any of us actually give a rat's rear end about the science and stuff? Like, just say, hey, I made this new cable. It uses, these parts and this quality and blah blah blah. And we did this crazy twisty tie thing, and we think that we ended up with a better cable. This is how much it costs. Try it out. Let us know. I'd be fine with that. Look at that. Just common sense. Like, let's just be cool. All right. All right, guys. I have to sell my car to buy cables, which is recommended by Audioholics. How dare you, Gene? How dare you? Oh, that's funny. All right, guys. Hour and 54 minutes. I think we're good here. I enjoyed the chat with you guys. Dude, Jerry, come on, man. Look at that. Jerry, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. It means a lot. We need it. We're it's funny, you guys might think this is interesting, and you guys should know this, is you might think like, man, now is the best time to be a YouTuber. You guys are gonna be just killing it, raking it in because everybody's home watching views. It's not the way it works. The amount of money that we get through monetization through YouTube is based on the ad bids that's happening for companies that are willing to spend big bucks. And guess what? They're not willing to spend big bucks right now. It's like, oh man. So a lot of people don't understand how things actually work. And when you do understand how they work, you're like half my revenue dropped as soon as, COVID-19 is just like, bleh. So it's rough out there. Stay safe. Stay safe. Listen to music. And I guess my parting words for today is let's talk about Open Baffle more. Manufacturers, I'm talking to you. Let's wake up. Think about it. It's a win-win. Everybody in here is talking about Open Baffle. And in this video, as it continues to live, I can promise you this, everybody will be saying the same thing, which is we want to see more Open Baffles. So manufacturers, these are your customers. It's as simple as that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for stopping by. Stay safe. Take care.